Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. It's Natalie. Welcome back. Thank you for joining me this morning. I am sorry. I started a 4-part series and I did the first video a couple months ago. If you guys haven't seen it, it's up here and a link will also be in the description to this video. I started this series. It was supposed to be a 4-part series, Hotshot versus Big Rig, you guys. I did the first video a couple months ago and then I got so busy and tied up with other aspects of the business of my company and everything that I never finished it. So today we're going to go over part 2 of Hotshot versus Big Rig. This is primarily for people who may be not sure, what type of equipment they should get started with, and we're going to go over that today. Really quick, before we start to get into today's topic, I want to give you guys a quick update. My driver Joe is doing fantastically. He's gone from Texas to the Midwest, and now he's bouncing around in Idaho. I'm very proud of him. He's getting baptized in the fire, and he's doing wonderfully. He's my Super Joe, and excellent. He's just exceeding all my expectations. I'm very proud of him, and he's making a ton of money, and I'll do another video on that. And then quick update again too, you guys, the black truck is back up and running. We had a little accident on her a couple months ago. If you guys didn't see that video, it'll be up here. And she is doing fine. She is fine. She's looking good. And I'm very excited to get back on the road myself, probably next week. If you guys didn't see the video I posted a couple days ago about the new federal laws changing as of February 7th of next year, that is going to stipulate that if you want to get your CDL, you have to go to truck driving school. So in order to take advantage of the time, right? The time of year and the fact that that law still has not come into play yet, I have been working with my nephew, Ruben, and he's gotten his permit, and we are going to go start making some runs together and start training together. I'm going to kind of take him under my wing, so you guys will see some video on that in the weeks to come as we kind of bounce around and run some loads together and start training together. I'm very excited to have him come on board with me. I'm very, very proud of him, and I look forward to showcasing our little training adventures together in the weeks to come. So that's kind of a quick update on my equipment and my plans for the near future. And it's been really nice to take a couple weeks off, but got to get back to work. So that's what's going on with that. If you guys are looking at the industry and looking at starting up and you need more one-on-one help, feel free to reach out to me, www.patreon.com/hotshotadventures. It's very affordable. It is a monthly subscription. You can start it and cancel it at any point. And I do a ton of exclusive videos that are all on there, $5 a month. You can watch them all. Again, also, Mary, if you guys need help, I'm talking about compliance, the legalities, your LLC, your EIN, all this plethora of stuff. If you want to get into this industry and you need help, myself and Mary, we are there for you guys. And with us two combined, we can pretty much help you out with anything that you need help with. So Mary's phone number is here as well as in the description to this video. Getting into today's video. If you guys did not see part 1 that I released a couple months ago, the link is here or here. The link is here somewhere for you guys, and the link again will be in the description to this video, as well as a playlist. I believe I did do a playlist on Hotshot versus Big Rig. So if you guys go onto my channel and find the click on playlists, you can see I've done other videos in addition to this 4-part series. This is part 2, but I've done other videos on Hotshot versus Big Rig. Now, I doubled down. I started this company and I bought 1 truck and 1 trailer, and then I went out and bought another truck and another trailer and another trailer, and I've doubled down on Hotshot equipment. But it is not necessarily the only way that you guys can go. So in this video, I'm going to go over mostly equipment costs, equipment availability, and a little bit of the history of Hotshot. So let's get into that. So the history of Hotshot, as many of you may or may not know, started in Texas to get parts and equipment, replacement parts when an oil rig broke down or needed a spare part or needed something to get it back up and running. Hotshot Trucking had very humble beginnings and really just started with a guy in a truck or a guy in a flatbed or a guy in a little trailer, hanging out at these manufacturing facilities. And as soon as a part was put together or built, it was loaded onto that guy's truck and he directly went out to the oil rig that needed that part. That's how Hotshot Trucking started several decades ago. That was when really there was not any regulation on this, right? You could just be a guy in a pickup truck and be making some extra money. Now, fast forward, a few decades later, everything is regulated, right? Unfortunately, fortunately, and unfortunately, however you want to look at it, everything is regulated. You guys know the type of equipment I have. You guys know I have a CDL. You guys know I run apportioned plates. I cross state lines. I have to abide by all the rules and all the regulations as the big boys do. So it doesn't matter what type of equipment that I am in, I am still held to the same standards and required to follow all the same rules because of the type of company that I set up, regardless of whether I have a big rig or not. I have to follow all of their rules. So Hotshot is no longer what it once was in that respect. Now, when we think about that, right? If you have to follow all the rules and all the regulations as a big boy, why would you want Hotshot equipment? Why would you want to specifically start a Hotshot company and utilize this type of equipment? Now, it used to be that Hotshot equipment was more easy to come by and cost a lot less. That was primarily a big reason why a lot of guys got into this, was because big rigs were so much more expensive and there were so much more legalities that they had to get into, and the cost of big rig was so much more. Now, right now, in November 2021, the Hotshot equipment is no longer costing less than a big rig. The tides have changed. And right now, because of COVID and because, manufacturers got shut down during COVID and everybody is still trying to play catch up, equipment is in short supply and high demand, which has definitely brought the cost of Hotshot equipment up way higher than we would normally see it. So the cost to purchase a new Hotshot rig, right, similar to the rigs that I have, is over $100,000. Really, realistically speaking, we're talking over $100,000 to purchase this equipment. Now that versus purchasing used but still good big rig equipment is less right now than what it costs to purchase new Hotshot equipment. Now, generally speaking, Hotshot equipment truck is supposed to last you, manufacturers say, about 500,000 miles. Yes, some break down before that. Yes, some break down after that, but they last longer than that. Now, generally speaking, big rig equipment, manufacturers say, should last 1,000,000 miles. Yes, some break down before that. Yes, some last much longer than that without major repairs. So it's just, kind of a roll of the dice and how you maintain your equipment and what type of preventative maintenance you do and how you utilize your equipment, how you drive your equipment. So your Hotshot equipment is costing way more right now, and it's only going to last, generally speaking, half as long, when right now big rig is going to last you twice as long and it's costing even less to purchase used equipment. And that is just because supply and demand, right? Hotshot equipment is in high demand and low supply. So if you're looking at purchasing a brand new 1-ton truck, similar to the trucks that I have, you're looking at anywhere between $10,000 and $20,000, even sometimes more, over MSRP. And that is simply because whoever has it gets to name their price, and they are price gouging. And it is not as easy to find these trucks as it was a couple years ago. Just a couple years ago, you know, I spent $62,000 on my white F350, my 2020. Now, a friend of mine just purchased a 2022, not 30 miles from the dealership that I purchased mine 2 years ago. Same specs, same truck, everything. $82,000, $20,000 more in 2 years. The truck hasn't changed. The truck didn't get a brand new motor. The truck doesn't do magic tricks and backflips. It's the same truck, you guys. It is just supply and demand. And so that is what we are fighting right now. If you are looking into getting into the hotshot or the transportation industry, you are going to be paying more for equipment, or you're going to have to maybe look outside your comfort zone, outside of your backyard, maybe look at used equipment, maybe look at, you know, social media, people posting stuff, getting out of the business, moving up to big rig, you know, looking at getting rid of their hotshot trucks, stuff like that. To start a hotshot business, if you want to have a CDL and cross state lines and you want to have a GVWR of over 26,000 pounds, you have to abide by all the same rules and regulations as the big boys. And that, combined with the fact that equipment, hotshot equipment, is way overpriced right now. And I'm talking trucks and trailers, you guys. Trailers are also in short supply. A lot of times you have to pre-order your trailer and wait weeks or months to get it. And that, combined with, you know, the higher cost, it's really kind of pushing people that are watching my videos and watching the industry and, you know, trying to figure out what's the right time to jump into this. It really makes a lot of people think, wow, what's the benefit of me getting into a hotshot rig? If I'm going to go get my CDL anyways, maybe I should just go get a big rig. And really, it's a logical question, and nobody can answer that other than you guys yourself that are looking into the industry, looking into the business. The only real specific reason to get into hotshot right now is if you do not want to get your CDL, then obviously you cannot drive a big rig. But if you're looking to start a company very similar to mine and have your CDL and be over 26,000 pounds GVWR and do all of that stuff, then maybe, because the cost is so high for equipment right now, maybe you want to consider getting into a big rig. And those are just things that, again, you guys will have to decide for yourselves. If you are in an area where you only see, you know, loads that are weighing 20,000 pounds or more, then maybe it's not such a great idea to get into a hotshot rig, because your freight capacity could be anywhere from, 12 to 17,000 pounds. And if there's only 20,000 pound loads out there, then you don't want to go spend $100,000 on hotshot equipment and you just shot yourself in the foot, because, there aren't any loads really out in your area that you can service with the type of equipment that you purchased. So that, combined with how much you want to spend to get started, whether you have your CDL or not, and whether, if you do have your CDL, how long have you had it? How much has it aged? That's also a factor in, wanting to get a purchase or finance a big rig. In a lot of states, that's a factor. And also, more importantly, how comfortable do you want to be right off the bat? And that goes with, how do you want to run? If you want to run more locally and you don't want to do cross country, so it doesn't really matter if you have like a big rig, a sleeper, and a fridge, and a microwave, and a TV, and all of that, all of those comforts of having really like a mini house with you at all times, then maybe hotshot is better. Can you convert a 1-ton dually into more of a big rig type truck? Yes, You can put a sleeper, you can put a refrigerator, you can put a microwave, you can, you know, put a generator to run heat and AC in your sleeper. You can do all of those things, but those are all things that you have to do aftermarket on a Hotshot rig. So you're going to be spending more money for a Hotshot rig, and then you got to do X, Y, and Z to get it to the comfort level that you want. Now, if you're more bare bones or you want to stay more local, you don't mind throwing a mattress in the back seat and roughing it, or like me, you know, getting hotel rooms, taking on that cost. There are other ways around it, but those are things that you guys will have to weigh for yourselves. In addition to the difference right now in equipment costs, you know, another thing to consider when we talk about the equipment is your GVWR. What do you want it rated at? If you're going Hotshot non-CDL, you're going to be under 26,000 pounds. That's fine. If you're going CDL Hotshot and you have a GVWR of over 26,000 pounds, then you got to purchase, and you want to run apportion plates, you want to run over state lines, right? Then you got to participate in IFTA. IFTA for me with a GVWR of 40,000 pounds, I pay about half what a big rig is going to pay, because generally speaking, big rigs have a GVWR of 80,000 pounds. So I weigh half of what they weigh, but that means I pay half of what they would pay in IFTA. The same thing goes with registration. Big rig is going to cost more to register because mostly it's based on GVWR. So if it's 80,000 pound rig, it's going to cost, generally speaking, twice as much as it's going to cost me to get apportion plates or any type of registration. Even if it's state registration, it's going to cost me half as much as it would cost a big rig. And then, of course, we look at MPG, right? Depending on how you want to run, you have to look at the fuel costs right now. Fuel is ridiculously high right now. And for several reasons, I won't get into all of those. But, you know, right now in California, if you go to a Love's or a TA, you know, you're looking at $4.75 a gallon. And that's a big bullet to bite, you know, that's tough. And when you get into a big rig, you're looking at anywhere between 4 to 6 miles to the gallon, depending on the type of engine, depending on how you run, where you're running, stuff like that. Generally speaking, 4 to 6 miles to the gallon, and you're paying almost anywhere between $3.50 and almost $5 a gallon, depending on where you are at or where you are running. Now, for me and my Hotshot rig, I get 10 miles to the gallon, so I'm getting a lot more. I'm getting farther down the road, you know, with less diesel than in a big rig. So that's the meat and potatoes for you guys. Again, you know, nobody can make these decisions other than you. A lot of people do kind of tend to dip their toes in the transportation waters, so to speak, and they get this Hotshot equipment, and then a couple years or whatever down the line, they end up upgrading, and that's fine too. But with the cost of Hotshot equipment being so high right now, if I can help you guys to look at some pros and cons and look at the differences of the equipment right now before you purchase, I think it'll be really beneficial. And those are just things, again, that you guys will have to decide for yourselves. And I wish you all the best of luck. Next week, we will go over parts 3 and 4. Part 3 of this series will be next week, and it will be costs between maintenance and breakdown, Hotshot versus big rig. And then part 4 will probably be later on next week, and it will be load availability and revenue and rates and stuff like that. So thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you soon.